Every economy has a winner, but the scoreboard changes when you count more than just the paycheck. The United States and the European Union are locked in the ultimate money game. Higher salaries versus lower costs. Fast growth versus guaranteed security. So here's the real question. Who actually comes out richer once the bills are paid, the rent is due, and life happens? Welcome to the Money Manual. If you care about income, taxes, and time freedom, hit subscribe. Because we're about to settle the US versus EU money debate once and for all. Let's start where everyone starts. How much money you actually make. The median income in the United States is about $60,000. In Germany, one of the EU's strongest economies, it's closer to $45,000. On paper, America wins, but that's just the sticker price. The real question is, how much of that can you actually keep? Let's talk about what gets taken out before you ever see it. An average American pays about 24% in federal taxes. A German worker? Around 39%, and in some Nordic countries, it's over 50%. It sounds like Europe loses again, until you realize what those taxes buy. Healthcare, education, safety nets. In the US, you keep more up front but spend more out of pocket. Next up, one of the biggest silent costs in life. In the US, the average person spends $12,000 per year on healthcare, with or without insurance. In much of the EU, healthcare is already covered by taxes. No surprise bills, no deductibles. That's like getting a $12,000 raise without working a single extra hour. Now let's compare where you lay your head at night. In cities like New York or Los Angeles, a one-bedroom apartment can cost $3.1 thousand per month. In Berlin or Madrid, it's closer to $1.2 thousand. That's a $22.8 thousand difference every year, enough to max out a retirement account. Let's move to the cost of getting an education. The average American student leaves college with $37,000 in debt. In most of the EU, university is free or costs only a few $100s per year. That means Europeans start adult life at zero, while many Americans start in the red. What happens when the paycheck stops? In the US, your future depends on personal investments. 401ks, Roth IRAs, market returns. In much of the EU, public pensions offer a guaranteed base income for retirees. One system gives you control with risk, the other gives you stability with limits. Let's talk about how much time you actually spend working. Americans work about 1.8 thousand hours per year. EU workers average closer to 1.5 thousand, and they get at least 20 paid vacation days by law. In the US, there's no legal minimum for paid leave, which means in the EU, free time isn't a luxury, it's built in. Now let's see how much people put their money to work. 61% of Americans invest in the stock market. In the EU, only about 15% do. That means in America, more people ride the market's growth. But those who don't invest are left far behind. What happens when prices start to soar? When inflation hit, the US sent out relief checks of $1.2 to $2,000 per person. The EU moved slower, with less direct cash. Short-term, America felt faster relief. Long-term, the EU's social system softened the blow without adding as much new debt. Let's break down the everyday spending basket. Groceries, daycare, and transport often cost more in the US when paid directly. In the EU, those costs are baked into taxes. One model lets you choose exactly what to spend on. The other forces you to pay but guarantees access. Now let's look at net worth through a different lens. A U.S. household's average net worth is about $120,000. An EU household's is about $94,000. But once you subtract American healthcare, rent, and education costs, and add back European social benefits, the gap shrinks and sometimes flips. What if you want to start something big? In the U.S., it's easier to get funding for startups, business expansion, or even personal loans. In the EU, lending is more conservative and heavily regulated. If your wealth plan depends on rapid scaling, America gives you a longer runway. So who wins? If you want maximum upside and investor-driven growth, the US is your game. If you want predictable safety nets and more free time, the EU takes the crown. But the smartest move might be blending the two, earning in a high-upside economy, living in a lower-cost one. This isn't about waving flags. It's about choosing the financial life that fits you best. The United States offers ambition, upside, and speed. The European Union offers stability, security, and balance. Maybe the best life isn't about picking one forever, but choosing the right one for each stage of your journey. If this gave you a new perspective, subscribe to the Money Manual. We turn big money questions into clear money answers. See you in the next one.